Every week we get closer and closer to the end of Grimm. So today, let's talk about episode 610, Blood Magic, on the Grimm After Show at AFTERBUZZ TV.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
I'm sorry, Yael. I didn't have any dumb jokes
Dude,
this
what was
week.
that? Meow, meow, meow.
Meow, 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 meow.
I like his version. He's meowing his version. This
I'm
is
barking
great.
mine.
Well, I like his better.
We were collaborating.
I like
We were
cats.
collaborators.
And dogs, you know.
I like cats.
Who are you?
Cats and dogs living together. That's the craziness that's going on Grimm right now. Thank you. Thank you for understanding me, Tauri.
Yes.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning into the Grimm After Show at AFTERBUZZ TV. I apologize. I am a little bit sleep deprived, so this is going to be an interesting show. And it's also going to get real interesting when I have to pronounce stuff later.
Yay!
Even more so. I'm your host, Zach Wilson. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at @ThatZachWilson. I have a wonderful panel, as always, today. The whole gang's here. Yael's back.
Hello, everybody. I'm Yael Tygiel. I'm everywhere at Yael Tygiel. That's YAELTYGIEL. And I'm in the chat where Grimmaniac says, nicely done, panel. I think he enjoyed your musical rendition.
I think we should work on just a full rendition. We'll cue it up.
Totally,
we'll
yeah.
each do different parts. And,
I think season 6 is definitely the time to come up with this clever idea.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
With 3 episodes left.
I agree.
Who are you?
I'm Tauri J. Miller. You can find me at Tauri J. That's TAURIJAY. I'm not on the chat.
Nope.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. Let's start off with the quote at the top of the episode. Nothing, they say, is more certain than death, and nothing more uncertain than the time of dying.
Ooh.
Some dark stuff.
I really liked this episode.
There's some really interesting stuff going on. That's a quote from Thomas Paine.
Oh.
Nice.
From Revolutionary War times
Okay.
in America. Common sense. Use your common sense, and let's talk about this episode.
Okay.
All right. Great. My common sense tells me
I wasn't sure where.
that this episode...
I was also not sure where you were going.
There's your bad joke.
Thank you.
All right.
I like when he makes
Sorry.
bad jokes.
What do Tari, what do you think about this episode?
I thought the episode was really interesting. There was a lot of sad stuff. I mean, I guess it's natural when it comes to things relating to, mortality and euthanasia and dementia and all that stuff. So, I mean, man, it got real heavy and weird.
Yeah, I really like the heavy story that we went with, especially because I feel like this season has been a lot of we had stories we wanted to tell, and we gotta tell them now. And so this is a story that I wish, when we first established the world that Vesson live in and how they survive and that the council exists, this would have fit there. And so doing it now, especially with Monrosalie waiting for their first children and, this kind of relation to our characters, it was just so sad.
Yeah, the Vesson of the Week storyline in this episode. Let's talk about that first, and then we'll get into everything that's going on with Eve and her search to try to get into the mirror dimension. With Adeline's books. We'll talk about Nick and Renard going like this to each other.
How did they do it?
They were raising their fists old school style 20s boxers.
I just want to make sure everyone's saw it.
Yeah, well, for our listening audience, I had my hands up 1920s boxers.
Fisticuffs. Yes.
So the Vesson of the Week, it was a very heavy episode. It strikes me as a question that they got at a con, to the writer, this was for the writers. What happens when a Vesson gets dementia and doesn't remember who they are? Do they vogue at random? That's my annotation of a con goer.
That actually is very accurate.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
I may know my people. But and which is a fair question. It's an interesting thing. It's anything where you build this sort of sci-fi or fantasy world that's this deep in lore. Those kinds of things, those kinds of questions are out there, and the people that inhabit the world have to just find those answers. This to me is like they had a list of those questions they found interesting on the board, and this season they're like, let's do that one. Let's explain that thing. Yeah. Which I kind of want them to continue doing. Like, take the comic books, put them back into, like, universe canon that they've been doing. Because they're not. They're wildly off the plot line of the show. Yeah. And start explaining all these random things from the world of Grimm.
Mm-hmm. I liked it. I think it also tied in really nicely that, like, Rosalie has the number because she has the spice shop, and she was like, all Grimm apothecaries have this number, or have a person to call.
Vesson apothecaries.
Yes, what did I say?
Grimm.
That's what I meant.
Yes. Grimm, the show apothecaries.
Thank you.
Okay, I got you.
God, Zach.
Yeah, seriously.
I'm just saying.
Picking on me.
Grimm apothecaries sound like it's like some kind of like trap, like police sting operation to like get Vesson to come in, and then as soon as they're like, so I need like Wolf's Bane to like keep my. So it's like, you're a Vesson, chop.
See, he takes it so dark.
Yeah, I know. This was a very happy, light episode, Zach,
so
and here
light.
you are, just bringing it all down.
I'm the dark one, writers.
Yeah.
Before you said writers, I was going to take that very offensively. But kind of circling back to what you were saying, Zach, especially, I guess, on the heels of Logan, where you see like what happens when a
no spoilers.
No, but like as you see in the trailer, you know,
they're dealing with
aging,
people with power aging and losing control of that ability.
Yeah.
And so it hit that heartstring again. But I do also like the fact that we're really kind of, even at this point, diving into like the world of the Vesson, because we've kind of taken a break from that and really been on the Grimm side and dealing with like Nick's stuff. But like, I love that it kind of brings this, it kind of reminds us how different their world is.
Yeah. Like in a world where like you have the Vesson Council who like monitors Vesson activity that might put people out into the public. Like, it makes sense that this kind of thing would exist.
Yeah.
It's very interesting, like point that it raises. Like, obviously, it's blowing up issues to a point where it's sort of outside the real world, but it does like make you like sort of come face to face with similar issues. Like in this episode's case, stuff like assisted suicide or how to handle a parent or a grandparent who has lost their mind. Like, what do you do with that person when they become not themselves? Like,
right.
How do you handle that?
I also like that it tied into the real world and what we have to deal with Mason. #FreeMason.
We don't know if Mason ever got out of those charges.
Right, so I like that this is Nick being a cop and a Grimm and going, this poor human is now in danger because of our world, and we have to find a solution.
Mason, just in case you missed the name, is the...
How could you? Poor Mason is in prison.
Mason is the nurse who...
Orderly.
Is he an orderly?
He's not a nurse.
Okay. I don't know. I'm not sure.
I paid attention.
Well...
Freemason.
Okay.
I don't know.
It's all a conspiracy.
It's totally a conspiracy to lock up Mason.
Yeah. This was all part of Black Claw's plan. They wanted them to get exposed by use of this old lady.
Mason is very important.
I hope he comes back.
He won't.
No.
He's still behind bars.
I know.
Because here's the thing. Clarify it for me if you guys caught it and I just missed it. And like, let's see if the chat knows as well. Yael, let me know.
I will.
Did they have a solution? Like, they said it was a problem, but...
Yeah, they had a solution.
What was it?
So they were telling the Angel of Death guy...
Okay, I guess...
Zach, what is it?
The Gefada Tote.
What?
The Gefada Tote. or a Godfather killing, as they put it, which is basically it's a mercy. It's somewhere. It's a mercy killing.
It's an angel of death.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Well, yes, so more or less.
Yeah.
Your guardian angel, if you will.
It's sort of a combination
not.
of. It's somewhere in between like a DNR and a mercy killing.
The Godfather of death.
Yeah.
Everyone keeps saying
Because it's not quite like assisted suicide is not quite the right thing because it's agreed upon, but not at the time.
Right.
But it is very similar to a DNR where you've made an agreement with, like, they didn't put it on paper, but like just like I think the idea was supposed to be that Monroe, just the way that Monroe and Rosalie made that determination that this is, as a couple, like if one of us goes, the other will call.
Right.
The Gefahrdetot.
So
I feel it just before I move on from this point. I feel like I do need to say that they never established for sure. They imply, but they never established that the couple had agreed to like the same way that Monroe and Rosalie did, and it makes it like almost like really dark that they never like said he wanted this.
You mean Mrs. Stanton, I think?
The Stantons, yes.
Right.
You think that she...
I'm assuming, like, again, the show implied that they had a similar, like,
I think
agreement.
regardless if they had that agreement, the options at this point were a Grimm beheads him, or he goes peacefully.
Right.
You put him, I mean, you...
Well,
Because they even point out they can't arrest him.
Or you keep him werewolf style in a cage in the basement.
Well,
I think the solution is a Grimm beheads him.
Yeah. Well, this had very, like, old Yeller feel about it, where, like...
Oh, my God.
I mean, that's kind of what it was. Like, he had gotten to the point where he was going to be attacking people, and he was basically like a rabid dog.
Spoiler alert. For anyone who hasn't seen
so they had to, like...
Yeller.
Well, yeah. If you haven't seen it by now, you're wasting your life.
Damn it, Trey. That was my plan tonight.
Well, he gets shot. But this time they use a assassin fish bullet. Assassin bug bullet.
Assassin bug.
Okay, so to answer your original question of what the plan was, they say to the doctor, because he wasn't the doctor from the hospital, they say to him that the plan to free Mason is if they can confirm that everything was on the up and up onto how she died, that they're going to the doctor's going to testify that the old lady was aggressive and just was fighting him, and that it doesn't matter what he saw, he was defending himself, and so it was fine. That was the plan.
Though, like, I feel like he should have been let go after the ME had confirmed that her injuries weren't, or her death wasn't the result of any injury sustained in the altercation.
Right, that it was poison.
Well, what they said is that even if that's not the case, he would still have charges of assault. Because he was caught with his hands around her neck to the point where it left marks. And while those marks were superficial, even if she had survived, that technically could have filed assault.
She can't press charges. The only person who would press charges is that racist nurse.
Tell us about the racist nurse.
I don't like her. She called the police on poor old Mason. And she's like, he had to have murdered this old lady who was already dying. He had to be on drugs, and he was insane. I was like, girl, you are layering on so much.
I would have been I was on her side at first, reacting to walk. Hold on. Whoa!
Yeah.
Hold
First
on.
of all, he's
Let
like,
me
I'm
finish
not the darkest
statement.
one at the table, and now he's like, oh girl, she had a point. Black people be on drugs, dog.
Whoa!
Come on, Zach. What is wrong with you?
I'm just saying, if you walk in, you find somebody like choking an old lady, you're gonna call the police. But like the way that she reacted when the cops came and was like, even though she was fine afterwards, like, he's totally on drugs. I'm like, whoa!
Yeah.
That's where it's like, where is this coming from? This guy you've worked with for 3 years and said you've never had a problem with before. You're not looking for another explanation.
But also, as soon as he lets go and the old lady turns back into human, she's like, Mason, help me! Because they're friends.
Right.
So she even knows that he didn't hurt her.
Yeah, so
The nurse is totally racist.
Oh yeah.
The nurse is on drugs.
Yeah.
That's how
Right.
she was like, why she's thinking drugs. Because she's like, I'll deflect the drugs that are in my pocket. And they'll.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we know that Mason's never getting out of jail because of socioeconomic problems and institutional racism.
Mr. D Style in the chat asks, "What's happening?" And he is correct.
I told you guys up top that it was going to get weird.
Yeah. Okay. I think we're done.
Yep. I think that bit's done.
So, what was going on in this episode, and admittedly during the episode, because the flow, it like threw me off a little bit here and there, was because we had what felt like for most of the episode two like procedural plot lines happening at the same time. Because we had like the nurse plot line with the old woman.
Orderly. Mason.
With Mason's storyline. Sorry.
And then we had that lesbian couple.
Yeah.
Yes. And like two people I guess had gotten murdered in that place.
Yeah, but it was so the hot lesbian lady got murdered, and they were like, "Here's a murder from weeks ago in the North Precinct that we had no idea about."
Right.
And then they were like, "Also, we're gonna go investigate this old lady who died," which I really like that they point out. Like, she's old, she's in a nursing home, she's sick, she died.
Yeah.
That's what old people do.
Whoa.
It's true.
Am I wrong? Sorry, was I wrong about something? Please correct
Hey,
me.
Yael, don't be a Zach, all right?
Whoa!
I don't even know what that means.
Me
I
neither.
do.
But yes, it did feel like two storylines. I'd also like to point out they missed the opportunity to make that a lesbian couple.
Yes. They were
Okay,
were,
they did it, but they didn't, right?
It was not. It very
Okay.
much felt like it was.
Right. It's like the feel of it when they were interacting felt very like flirty and like a couple. But then when they were kind of going over the case, they're like, her friend was.
But yeah, they said friend
such
like 5 times.
Right.
To like clarify that they were not a couple. Even though the one was like, "Let me go get the car. You have been walking in those shoes all day."
It's very considerate.
Yeah. Girl, my friend would be like, "Walk your feet."
Just like that. Walk your feet.
Yeah.
Am I your friend?
Yes.
Tari is abusing Yael, making her walk all kinds of distances in shoes that are not conducive to walking.
She'll never learn not to wear those shoes unless I make her walk.
That's
You
true.
think I'm the bad one? Look at Tari. Cruel man.
Yeah, so it very much, I think the show missed a huge opportunity that would have been very simple to do.
Yes.
Fair.
Yep. Mr. D Style tweets or posts in the chat, hashtag don't be Zach.
What?
I think they mean tired. I think they mean don't
Yes,
be tired.
don't be
Yeah,
tired.
I'm like maybe 40% of the sleep I should have gotten in the last 3 days.
Yeah, we all feel that. Moving on.
Yeah.
We're done with this.
But yeah,
topic.
we talked about the how it ends. It's very sad.
And
Yeah.
Mason's still in jail.
Mason is still in jail. Presumably Nick is going
Because
to
of
get him
institutional-
out.
Go on, sorry.
Mind you, we'll never know
We'll never know what happened to
at this
Mason.
point if he made it out.
I would like to ask that all of our listeners tweet at Grimm Writers and say, "Did Mason get out?" Hashtag free Mason.
Yes, if you
I'm just gonna start it right
if
now.
you tweet at the writers with hashtag Freemason
Grimm.
next week, we'll search for that. Actually, wait, that hashtag Freemason may be incredibly difficult to track.
Yeah, it is incredibly busy. There's other stuff happening. I'm doing it right now at Grimm Writers.
Well, tag us in the tweet and we'll try to shout you out.
Yes.
Because we can't just track the hashtag Freemason. I was trying to do it sly where it like doesn't necessarily lead immediately back to us, because then the Freemasons will come for us. But like that hashtag is just a minefield.
I'm right now. Tweet it.
Thank you. We're gonna get tweets back from the writers like, what the?
Yeah.
Like, we're done. What do you want us to do? Like, it's shot and edited. Like, it's ready for air.
Yeah, the last 3 episodes are done. You can't just add in a line.
done
Remember
months
when we
ago.
freed Mason?
I would love it. There's just like an over-the-shoulder shot and be like, good thing Mason's free.
It's shot on an iPhone.
Yeah.
That's all we want. That's all we want. Somebody get David David Gentinelli in a room, just with your cell phone, with the writers like, glad Mason's free, and then cut it into the episode, or post it online as a webisode.
Yeah.
That works too.
It's happening.
I'm
It's
sure
totally
I'm sure it'll
happening.
be in the
You guys are all
comic book.
amazing.
I love our
I love you
fans.
all.
You're the best.
Yeah.
All right. I just the last things on this topic. I did really like the character design on the Gefada Toad.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was cool.
He wasn't a cat.
I like the way that the tendrils it was just something I noticed this week. Maybe it's just because he had tendrils that ran out.
Yeah.
The way that when he unvogued, the way that they retracted into his face looked really cool.
Yeah.
But it was good effects on that guy.
Yeah, I'd agree. And the I feel like the actor did a really good job as well.
Absolutely.
You know, like he felt to me like those old Exorcist the movie priests, where like he has a job to do and he goes in there very sullen and like he has a very specific procedure, which I wonder if like the opening of the window was something that he had suggested or if it was something that was part of the character.
Well, so Rosalie says that when she was little and she saw this done to her grandparent or something, that she saw them open the window to let the spirit out.
Right.
And so I think that is part of the process.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I do not,
Interesting.
as much as I want to give this actor his credit, I don't know that was something he came up with.
You don't know.
I do not know. Grimmaniac
Yeah.
says this actor has actually appeared in Breaking Bad, amongst many other shows.
Ah,
Thank you.
Guys getting work.
excellent.
All right. Let's talk about the more serialized stuff.
Yes.
We only got a bit of it because they did it so heavily at the top. I thought we were gonna get a lot more in this one. We got a little bit. So Eve has gone into the mirror.
Yeah.
Wait,
You gotta back up,
Yeah.
girl.
I'm saying that's where we are now.
We got to start with her asking for the books, sir.
Yeah, that's how she got there.
All right.
She went and borrowed some books from Adeline.
So these books, Adeline she wants the 3 spell books that belong to Adeline's mom. The 3 books. There's the one with the face coming out of it.
Yes.
I was like, that's the book that has the answers, and then of course it wasn't.
No, it was the like plain Jane White one.
That she had to shake to get the letters to
Yeah.
spell it. Which
Is it an Etch-a-Sketch book?
Yes.
Like, what is this?
I'd like to imagine that it's a conscious book, and so like shaking it, she's like, okay, I'll show you what the words are. You know?
I really wish that it was like fine. So,
Maybe it's
yeah.
like each page is like you have to decode in a different way. So like that one you have to shake, and there's another one where you have to like pour water, and like I like that she looks at it and she's like, I'm not gonna have to bleed on this, am I?
It's like a bop it for spell books.
Yeah.
Oh man.
That's awesome.
And you have to do it every like few lines or it just reverts back.
That book sounds infuriating.
It's the puzzle book of puzzles. It's like the monster book of monsters from the same publisher.
Yes.
The conversation between Adeline and Eve. It like I don't feel like we've seen this version of Eve where she's being like super subtly manipulative.
Absolutely.
Like everything she did, she's like, I need these things, and Adeline would come back and say that she's like, I don't think it's a good idea, and she'd be like, Nick's in danger. And then Adeline would be like, well, maybe. And she'd be like, Diana's in danger. Are we doing this or are we not doing this? Don't you want to protect these people you love?
Yeah, the way she totally played the like, it came after me, and Adeline was like, well, it ran away when it saw Nick. And she's like, we don't know that that's what happened. And it's coming after me because I saw the symbols. Think about that. I saw the symbols. And she goes, Diana saw the symbols. It felt super manipulative.
Yeah.
I like it. I like this version.
Yeah, I would have loved to see more. Like, I feel like off screen, like Eve is like has been struggling with like human emotion and like figuring out people that way. I would have loved to see her like dealing with that more, like figuring out that she can like if we followed Eve for like a day like one of those old episodes where you like follow a side character for a little longer.
I want that.
And seeing her like struggling to understand and like figure out like how to handle these people, because like when we first introduced to Eve, she was like emotionless. She's like a robot.
Right.
And that's an interesting place for a character to start. So the wand, like our magic stick, like basically like did a hard reset on her emotions.
Yeah.
But I would have loved to see that struggle as she tries to like deal with all this.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that would have been really interesting. But now we have really a different version of Eve. And Adeline points out that she's trying to redeem herself. And you feel it.
Yeah.
Oh, great performance from Bitsy.
Yeah. It was crazy. Like, I don't know if we've had a scene with them alone together, but like it's odd because they have such a weird, crazy history. You know, it's like there's all these moments where they're talking and you're like, remember when Juliet tried to kill her? Remember when she like slept with her husband or like fiance? Like,
remember when I brought a cat to you and like got you poisoned, so you had to like go through this crazy like Disney princess like spell ritual where the only prince in Portland had like kiss you and
their relationship, seeing them together, we were watching. I was like, aren't they? Are we gonna forget? Okay, we're moving on.
You guys aren't friends.
I mean,
hey,
Juliet,
they're Eskimo sisters.
That's
Tari.
true. That's even closer than friends.
In even crazier ways than normal.
Juliet and Adeline aren't friends, but Adeline and Eve can be.
Yeah, I guess so.
I guess.
Thanks, guys.
You're right. Hashtag Freemason.
It's weird. It's always strange when you're because like this person used to be a different person, and we still feel a connection to Juliet because it looks like Juliet.
Right.
Right.
And more every day.
Yeah, which Nick is obviously dealing with because he called her Juliet like 2 weeks ago.
Right.
Yeah. We'll see what happens when they have to like fight the forces of darkness together.
Yeah. I appreciate.
And if those forces of darkness use that against them.
I appreciate that that Nick tells her, like, you don't have to do this alone. We're all in this together. It's after all of us. We're a team. And first of all, I love that. Also, Rosalie was like, it's after all of us. And Adeline was like, it's after all of us. Because they are all involved in this. So the fact that she's like, oh, I'm going to handle this alone. But she tries to listen and then goes, I'm just going to go through the mirror. Which, when she was doing the blood magic, she puts her hand on it and it doesn't work, and then she goes and does it again. And then she turns her back. Girl, you never turn your back on a mirror.
That's the rule. You can learn it like right out the womb. They're like, never turn your back on a mirror.
Yeah,
It's
if you've got a closet with a mirror in it, you better back out that closet.
Oh, yeah.
No turning around.
If you're doing witchcraft, you do not turn your back on a mirror.
It's fair with that when you're trying to open a portal through the mirror.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe don't turn your back at that point.
Dumb. You should know this. It is Witchcraft 101.
She's a new witch.
She's not, though. She knew enough to be like, I need these spellbooks. She knew enough to shake that spellbook till it worked.
She got trained up by HW, which in theory has a lot of like, if not like maybe Hexen Beasts like on staff, like Hexen Beast knowledge that they could pass along to her. She's
disagree.
trained in one way or another.
I think that she's mostly been running on instinct. And so, like, she knows I have telekinesis, basically, and I can fight now. But, like, when it comes to nitty-gritty witch stuff, she's not studied. It's the difference between someone who has gone through, like, every form in martial arts and gotten their, like, 5th degree black belt, versus someone who is a street brawler. They have like a natural instinct and they can throw a punch, but like they don't have the foundation and like credentials in order to go further.
I'm gonna disagree.
Okay.
Because as we saw when she was working with HW, when she was in charge of interrogations, Meisner would go get his coffee and she would blind and mute and deaf the
yes.
interrogatee.
Yes. The perp.
There, thanks. So, like, she knows how to do a bunch of these skills, and I think that they taught her these things. I don't think she knows, the hat bong she had to learn how to do.
Right.
and she had to get the spells. But
They probably had a library of spell books, but they weren't complete by any means.
maybe.
They just had they had the spell books they were able to get their hands on.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, going back to my analogy, it's the difference between yes, you can punch and you can kick, and you might know how to uppercut and how to do a side punch.
Out.
But then you don't if you've gone through the curriculum of a formal martial arts, then you have hundreds of techniques in your pocket that you can pull out at any different point. That's the gist. Is what I'm saying. She's not a proper witch. She's not a proper witch.
Offensive.
No,
yeah,
she's not a
fake
witch.
girl.
She's not a witch. She's a hexen beast, Tauri.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Get it straight. Here's a question. Here's a thought I just had.
Yes.
This is sort of prediction-y. Should we finish up the episode and just do some extended predictions? More officially than normal?
I want to hear what you wanted to say.
Well, it's prediction-y.
All right, so to wrap it up, the episode, Renard and Nick want to share.
Yeah.
There's it's a sentence.
They literally are just I want to know what's wrong, what these drawings are that my daughter's doing. Well, I want to know how you know that they're dangerous. Well, we should maybe no, we should work together, or we shouldn't work or I'm not giving you anything.
Cool.
Silence from Renard, and then Nick leaves.
Yeah.
All right, to predictions.
Yeah, let's do some predictions here. Where we're just gonna vamp on about insanity.
Now, your AfterBuzz TV
What's happening?
prediction.
It's my Therafin. Theremin?
Theremin.
Theraflu.
Okay.
Go.
So, question / prediction. We've talked. I know I've talked a lot, at least, about how the question of, is Juliet dead, or was she just basically beaten until she repressed a personality? Because if Juliet is actually dead, we're saying the spirit of Juliet is dead and somewhere else. We've been led to believe that through the mirror dimension is sort of hell, because
Right.
that's where the guy that did the death grip was going. He was dying, and his spirit was going to hell. Could Eve run into Juliet down there? Or could Skullman? We don't have a name for him.
Yeah.
I guess there's Black Claw. Is he Black Skull?
No.
Sorry, DC would have an issue with that.
Well, in that case, where's the Black Foot? And the Black Elbow.
It's Exodia! Oh, man.
Anyway,
I wish Dylan was
Skullman. Could Skullman, force Juliet's spirit back into Eve?
Yeah.
In the process of her being down there.
I see what you're saying.
Yes.
I think it would be interesting to see a Juliet Eve face off with words. I think that'd be because.
Oh yeah, I don't need to see them fight.
Well, because Juliet wasn't a fighter; she was a vet.
Until she went nuts at the
when
end.
she was a hexen beast.
Yeah,
but
right.
to see the spirit of Juliet have a conversation with Eve and decide to move on with their lives or whatever, I think that would be interesting. I do not think we're gonna get that. I don't think that's a thing.
I agree with Yael in that I don't think that her spirit ever left her body. I think it was more of a mental wall that she had created. So if this is the train scene in Harry Potter, Juliet is curled up underneath the bench, and everything else is. I don't know if you've seen the last Harry Potter, but the real Voldemort was a small creature under.
So
yes.
when you said the train scene in Harry Potter, I went when they first went off to school.
No. Yes. Yes.
I think.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think generally I fall on the same page. I think it's more repression than anything else. But I do I still want some kind of resolution for Juliet that I feel I was deprived of because she was Hexen Beast crazy when we said goodbye to her. Juliet, as we spent 4.5 seasons with, or 3.5 seasons with, I think would be.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. We liked that character, and we didn't it didn't feel like we ever said goodbye to her. Really, we said goodbye to this violent Texan Beast version of her.
Right.
So for the finale of the season of the show, rather, I think it would be appropriate to see that personality one more time.
I think that's a really cool and interesting thing that could be done. But based on the promo, it looks like we have that discussion kind of between Eve and Nick, where he reminds her that she's not alone and that she can, you know, be part of the team and help. And it looks like she's becoming full Hexen Beast and like not voguable. It looks like she's dying. And
You mean like in the story or in the preview?
In the promo for next week.
I mean, it looks like Nick either finds her, or it could be one of those like fake outs where it's like she thinks Nick found her, but it's actually the devil like
Sure.
playing with you by using a familiar image.
I mean, we do know that we assume that the other side of the mirror is this underworld, hell, whatever you want to call it.
Hades.
Sure, but there's a possibility it is a mirror world, right? So
Right.
it is just another world.
An upside down.
Yes. She doesn't get that reference. She
I
hasn't
know what
seen it.
upside down is. I just haven't seen it.
Got
looks
it.
Scary. So
It did actually like the colors of it, like not like the color of the air, like on people's face, on like Nick and Eve's faces, but the color of all the stuff in that world, does remind me of the upside down.
It
now
really
that I say
does.
that.
It's a mirror world.
okay.
Yeah. Everything that exists here exists there, but it's desolate.
Spoiler alert for all of the people.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, not really.
No.
Oh, this is the chat is being great because we have wondered about the ring on Adeline's finger, and we haven't touched on that curse at all. And the sister Grimm in the chat says the producer said they will wrap up the ring story. I have a feeling it's just gonna fall right off.
I have a theory.
Yeah.
My theory is that, and this is an official prediction from Tauri Miller, that Diana gets possessed by the Skull Man, and so the way that they cripple her is for Adeline to take off the ring, and then the curse becomes active enough to kind of hurt Diana enough for them to either free her or, you know, I made a throat to finger to throat.
Wait, explain that again.
Okay.
So the Skullman is
So the Skullman
in
takes
Diana.
Diana's. Yes, he takes over Diana.
Right.
So the curse of the ring is that if she takes it off, it'll cause harm to her
the
children.
kids.
Yes. So the idea is that when Diana is possessed, she takes it off so that Diana becomes incapacitated somehow, long enough for them to do whatever, either depossess her or, you know.
And baby
Finger
Kelly
to-
like
It's
just
fine.
suffers.
Yeah, we haven't seen Baby Kelly in forever.
Well, we heard that he was sleeping and not to let him levitate.
Yeah.
Joke theory on ring resolution.
But I like that theory.
Nick gets down on one knee and instead of pulling out a ring box, just grabs her finger and lifts it up. And it just becomes her actual engagement ring.
This. You want a this?
Okay.
Or he holds up an empty box and it's like, well, you already had one.
Well, that one's bigger than I could afford. I'm a police officer.
Yeah, it's not good
not a lot of
money.
and my resolution rate is really low. So.
Except for Mason, who we left in prison. Oh. I think the next 3 episodes are going to wrap up. We're done with Vesson of the Week, and we're going to just wrap up.
I want to say that. I've said that several times.
But
this season.
I think that's where we're at now. She's gone through the mirror, and I think that's where we're at.
Yeah, I mean the preview this was the first time that the preview has said only blank number of episodes left. They haven't done that. They've been like it's
Because they
the final.
thought we weren't counting?
They keep just saying the final season.
Chapter.
Yeah.
They keep calling it the final chapter.
The final chapter. Apologies, but this time they're like specifically like it's coming to an end in this many weeks. So I think you're right. Is my point.
That's so sad.
What?
That it's coming to an end
Oh
in
yeah.
3 weeks.
I thought you were looking down at your computer, so I was like, "What? What did they say?"
Everyone's sad. We're all
Yeah,
sad.
They're real sad.
We feel you guys.
But you're not tweeting at the Grimm writers, everyone.
They'll get there soon.
There. How many of them are in the chat?
For some reason, it does not give me a number today, but a good number of them. So we have Saeed.
There are 43
Maniac,
of you watching right now,
Frank,
and presumably a couple
Liz,
hundred more at a future time, and
Sister
several hundred
Grimm,
more listening.
Lydia.
I want each of you to go onto your Twitter.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Go on.
Why? Whoa.
I just.
She wanted to be
demand.
offended.
I'm saying there's 45 people watching, 44 people
You're
watching.
assuming they all have Twitter.
Go
If you
on
don't
to
have
social
Twitter,
media.
it's free. Just tweet at Grimm Writers
At
and
Grimm Writers.
hashtag Freemason and tag one of us in it.
Yeah.
And while you're doing that, go on to iTunes and rate and subscribe and all that stuff.
Yeah, subscribe
That's
now.
all.
There are only 3 episodes
Yeah.
left.
Yeah, get it. Well, it's
the
while you
perfect
can.
time.
Unless we do some crazy fanfic stuff.
That's true. I mean,
Kendall says
Maybe
I
we can.
tweeted.
Maybe we can read because let's be honest, like we're not gonna have time to write fanfic. Maybe we can read.
Speak for yourself.
we can read the official fanfic, the comics.
Oh.
No.
Dang.
Maybe we can read like fans fanfic, like get people to send us. Would that be something we should do?
I will absolutely read your fanfic, not necessarily on the air, but I will absolutely read it.
Send it.
Send Yael at Yael Tygiel, YAELTYGIEL on Twitter, Instagram, or look for my name, Yael TV, on Facebook. Find me. Send your fanfic. I will read and enjoy.
Maybe.
Especially if it's
Maybe if you
my
maybe pick,
Yael fanfic.
maybe that you had found a particular connection to a character about 4 episodes back who only got to do one really big motion, eating a guy's head off. But maybe you wrote fanfic about that character and what her adventures were. Send them to Yael Tygiel.
Yeah.
At
I
Yael
think
Tygiel.
that character's name was Yell.
I think that was her name too.
Yeah.
All right. Any other predictions for the next episode or the next 3 episodes?
I predict that Eve's going to sacrifice herself. I predict that Nick and Adeline, from the looks of the promo, they have a passionate kiss, and I think that they're gonna solidify what everyone's already known for however long.
So you think engagement before?
I don't know if engagement, but like, I think all of the panic that people have or have had about this love triangle, I think it's gonna be their panic can go away next week. That's my theory.
Maybe. I agree. I think that Eve sacrificed herself. I do like. I stand by what I was saying earlier. I think that we will, in one form or another, see Juliet shine through one more time. But I think it will come right as she sacrifices herself for the team, and or for the planet and the universe, because who knows how far-reaching this is.
I want to also give a shout out to Mr. D Style, who had an idea for a spin-off show, Eve in Wonderland. And I love the idea. We got Trouble in Paradise, Eve in the Mirror World Wonderland.
Is that like a side shot at Once Upon a Time?
No! No, the show that started the exact same season as Grimm, the show that tried to have a spin-off in Wonderland and failed miserably. No!
I'm just saying, Trouble, NBC,
Trouble
we know
in
you're
Paradise.
listening, Trouble in Paradise.
I think they stopped listening. I think they stopped listening when they introduced Meisner and I wouldn't shut up.
I think they kept listening.
Oh yeah, they just listened. They dug in real deep.
I think that was like when they're like, this is interesting. Say more about this Meisner fellow.
Liz in the chat says, I will feel sad if Eve dies, which...
I hope so.
and
I
says
hope you're
it's-
attached enough to
It's
Eve.
like that was her purpose. And I think that's an interesting idea. If, like, Eve was made to save them all and sacrifice herself.
Huh.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like destiny.
Like HW knew what they were like. That was like, we've created this soldier.
Yeah.
For one, we've created a soldier to serve one purpose in the world, to infiltrate this small group of friends in the suburban Portland area, and then save us from a grim death by a skull in a mirror.
I miss.
She is uniquely
Black Claw.
prepared. Yeah, I really like Black Claw.
I miss HW.
I want Black Claw's like plotline to be addressed more than it was like before the end of the season. Like that's I'm not saying we're gonna get it, but I would love to see, because I loved that concept of Vessin who just want to live their lives out. Like they want to stop having to hide themselves.
I think that was dealt with when Renard was like, I'm done with Black Claw, I'm sick of this, and then
but there's a bigger organization. They called him.
Right. But I think at that point he was like, I don't care or have any patience for you, and that was when he chose the right side.
Yeah.
And Meisner's ghost was able to go.
Yeah.
But like, I think that was our resolution to that. Lydia in the chat says she has Grimm Teen Wolf fanfic. I wonder if it's Grimm. Oh, it's slash. You have slash fiction, and I'd like to read it.
No, that's not what that.
Yes, that's what slash fiction is. Everyone Google it.
Using a backslash is not slash fiction.
I'm assuming that she has slash fiction. If you're writing Grimm Teen Wolf fiction, I'm assuming it's slash fiction.
I assumed it was the Michael J. Fox Teen Wolf.
I'd still read that slash fiction. Yeah.
Nick, we got a case. There's a kid who's voguing inside of this high school.
He's dunking all kinds of baskets, and it's not okay.
That's not fair to the other kids.
Somebody write Teen Wolf versus Air Bud. Basketball tournament, please.
Okay.
Moving along.
Yep.
All right. Are there more predictions?
There's so we were wondering about Alexander from the council, who we have all assumed no body, he's still alive.
Right.
But apparently, Grimmaniac says that the actor who plays Alexander was in 603 as a stunt double for Renard because he was really tall.
Oh, that's interesting.
Really?
Yeah, so they brought him back to do stunts, but apparently not to finish out his story. He's gonna free Mason.
Oh, great. Well, if anything, he would murder Mason because he is now aware of Vessin.
Whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Free him some way from life.
Oof.
Oh, Grimmaniac says that perhaps we'll find out, and this is a prediction, not a fact, that HW has wiped out Black Claw when Trouble returns for the final episodes.
That is true. That is probably what Trouble was off to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was always that weird thing where it's like I sort of wanted Black Claw to... I don't want them to win because they wanted to kill off our friends, but... I wanted I still love the idea of a world where Vessin live out, and I want to know what that would look like.
Yeah.
And it also feels like it's a good point. Like, let people like be themselves. Like if you're a Drangzorn, as much as you're like a weird little like imp with like these like teeth that go. The Drangzorn, by the way, which is what the old couple, the Stantons, were in this episode, are the like, you remember those little kids who like hit puberty and then went nuts?
Yes.
With it was like a Christmas episode.
Yeah.
With the candy, what's the cake? Fruit cake.
I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Yes. That
But
was
the candy and the cake.
Girl, I don't
it's
know
like,
what you
it's
eat
like
on
a
that
cake
holiday.
filled with fruit, maybe? I'm not sure what you call that.
I'm pretty sure it was them. I
You're just making stuff up now.
could have made it
All
wrong.
Oh, Sister Grimm says, I think Black Claw is tied to the underworld. And Saeed says, I wish Royals played a bigger part and find out more about them. Agreed.
Yeah.
That was a thing that
Wait,
happened.
No, I'm wrong. That's a different thing.
He's not listening.
All right. Great. Let's wrap this baby up.
Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody.
Thank you.
Yes. We're here for the next 3 weeks on Sundays at 5 o'clock.
What is this voice you're doing?
This is my wrapping up voice.
Okay, go on.
We're here every week at 5 o'clock. We do the show.
And if you couldn't understand that, tune into the Grimm After Show for the next 3 weeks, because that's all there is left, guys. The next 3 weeks at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time on AfterBuzz TV. Sad, guys. Sad. 3 episodes.
It's true.
3 weeks.
Who are you?
Oh my God.
Tell us who you are.
All right, guys. I'm Zach Wilson. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at @ThatZachWilson. Also, be sure to check out my weekly science fiction podcast, Sci-Fi Weekly, on the Popcorn Talk, our sister network. We didn't have an episode this week due to some scheduling conflicts, but next week we will be talking about Kong Skull Island, a different type of creature feature thing than Grimm. But yeah, join us that week, and then every week talking about the past, present, and future of science fiction media.
I'm Yael Tygiel. I'm everywhere at Yael Tygiel. That's YAELTYGIEL. Please tweet at Grimm Writers and ask them to free Mason.
Hashtag free Mason.
Yeah, you can find me on other shows here at AfterBuzz, such as Switched at Birth for the final season, SVU when it returns at some point, and Gay Weekly Roundtable. I think there's another one. Legion! Legion! Yes, also Legion.
And I'm Tauri Miller. You can find me at Tauri J. That's TAURIJAY. Also here on the ABTV DC CW slates. Supergirl, Flash, Arrow. Also on Grimm. And I think one more other show. I don't know.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. This has been the Grimm AfterBuzz TV After Show. Thanks for geeking out with us.
Thanks
They were geeking out with us.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Bye-bye. See you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.